Good
Welcome.
morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Mine Explorers, episode 46. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year coming up, but you'll get one more episode before the New Year.
I didn't realize I was going to be joined by Bucky Santa today, so this is a treat.
I am volunteering at the local elementary school to help the children decorate sugar cookies, and so I figured, you know what? Why not take that joy and festive cheer and bring it to our episode?
Are you going to wear your hood?
Yeah. For our fans in Texas, I thought you'd appreciate this.
You know we're getting a Bucky's here in Springville, Utah.
We are. Very exciting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be very busy for a long time.
It's going to be insane.
Probably not even going to try to go for the first couple weeks.
I was going to say the first couple of years, but yeah.
Yeah. But I've got some good wear out of this. I bought it in Texas. I was down looking at a sand mine.
I know, I was there.
Picked up some of these.
We got onesies and a bottle of champagne at the gas station, and that was like the weirdest experience ever, but it was super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Buc-ee's has everything. You buy a deer stand, you could buy a barbecue grill, you could buy gas.
Buy a brisket.
Jerky, brisket, yep.
It's the whole experience. It's
brisket
like a
tacos, brisket sandwich.
And they do have 900 stalls in their bathroom, which is really appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're clean,
And
really
they're
clean.
They are. It's a thing. Cool. Well, last week, well, not last week, a couple weeks ago, we had an episode go a little bit viral, which was super fun, talking about the talent gap that we are going to be experiencing here very soon. Do you want to give a quick recap of
that? And
then we'll kind of dive into the numbers here soon.
So we'll look a little closer into the numbers. So we did a clip on the talent gap, China versus the United States. And it's actually based on a book you're reading about that exact thing.
Mining is dead, globalism, long live globalism in mining or something.
Right.
Good morning.
Which is basically, it's basically what I talked about in the last episode, the shift from globalism to nationalism and the bifurcation of supply chains where you have Eastern supply chains and Western supply chains. And in China, they're really gearing up. They're looking at 20,000 graduates a year in mining programs compared to 800 in the Western world. By the Western world, I'm excluding Europe and talking about the mining powerhouses of Canada, Australia, and the United States.
Right.
And I posted a clip on LinkedIn, and I knew it would do pretty well. And it just, when things go viral, it's the right message and the right thing, but it hit a nerve, and I think it was done well. And it got over 20,000 views, 25 people reposted it. It's got...
which is pretty good for such a niche thing on LinkedIn.
For LinkedIn, getting 25,000 views on something in a niche industry like mining is viral.
I was happy with that. And it's good because this is the conversations that we need to start having in a very more serious manner, because we've been talking about it for a long time, but we really need to start doing things about it.
Yeah, so the comments were largely from people who knew it was coming and were interested about it. Some people were caught by surprise. And then, of course, where we, going viral with clips is new to us. I take the negative comments kind of seriously, probably more seriously than I should, but
never take the comments.
They were around three different things. So one, people had objections to our use of the word expert for graduates.
Yeah, and that's semantics.
And we were just saying experts, it was a short part of a longer
episode. It should have been
episode.
Educated.
Yeah, and so it's a longer thing. So and I agreed with them there. That was not the right word. There were comments around I made a comment about in Australia, kids are pushed out by all the ESG pressures and their peers and stuff. And there was a comment that it was the mining industry pushing them away, not the schools, because the mining industry are, they're climate deniers and they're pushing fake info and stuff. So there's one comment about that nobody interacted with, because it was kind of off key. We've been to Australia and seen the police presence that's required around any sort of mining conferences because of actual violence towards people in mining. So we know that was just BS. And I didn't even bother. I had so many articles and sources to say that that's what's pushing kids out of mining in Australia.
I know, and that was an interesting angle because it's not one that I've really thought about, is the social pressure of, or the negative connotation that kids could experience if they even want to go into mining.
Oh, it's huge in Australia.
Yeah.
And in Canada to a smaller extent, and in the United States to a lesser extent. Although I feel like that's improving. But there was one guy, and this is what spurred a bit of a re-going through it, because I did a deeper dive, who said that our numbers were just bogus and that it was fake info and made up. And it's funny because I thought that he would think the China side was made up because it was such a big number, the 20,000. And it doesn't appear that he's taken an issue with the big number. He's taken an issue with the US, and he thinks that we're actually graduating thousands of students in mining programs a year.
Whew,
so I dug into it, and the numbers are actually worse in some ways than what we discussed last time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I put some ranges around China because China doesn't publish a lot of official statistics. And if they do, official means fabricated. Everyone knows that. They don't fool anyone, not even themselves. And so we actually, around the China numbers, have been able to put ranges around it. So the true number for China is probably somewhere between 16,000 and 20,000.
Right.
Which is still massive. But the US numbers are actually more dire than we reported.
So what we're seeing here from the US, Canada, and Australia, we're actually looking at 330 to 800 engineers graduating every year.
Yep.
That's way worse than we were thinking.
Yep. Because 800 was our high-end number before.
Yeah.
But the truth may actually be closer to 300.
It might even be worse. It might even be worse than we're anticipating.
And that includes mining engineers, metallurgical process engineers. And the tricky thing with metallurgy is they're including all of metallurgy, which includes like aerospace and defense and alloy separation for manufacturing, where really we need to narrow in on hydrometallurgy, which is extracting metals from ore.
So it's probably even a lesser number than what we're even seeing
So
here.
that 800 was probably a bit optimistic.
Oof. So, I mean, the point remains the same, though, is we're heading for bad times when it comes to talent. Like, we are going to be seeing a big pinch point, and we're seeing that now. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's hard to find good geologists right now.
So, and that's the interesting thing, is we're seeing we are on the early stage side with most of our programs with exploration.
Yep.
And so we're seeing the pinch in geos. And it's funny because actually we have a lot of engineers applying and coming through right now, but largely they are foreign born, foreign trained, or they're here on a student visa.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of interest, like we're seeing from China and the Middle East and other places, for engineers. And so
a lot from India as well.
I think we can fill that gap with some of that, but like good field geos and stuff, we're seeing an acute shortage. Because there's been such a push towards desktop work and doing things on computers, which is largely what AI is going to replace.
Right. I know. And it's funny because I was looking at some resumes or even like LinkedIn profiles yesterday because I'm like, ooh, we're going to need some field geos. And I'm looking at these profiles. I'm like, desktop, like not interested, right? Like if you don't have any field experience, I am not even interested in talking to you at this point.
Yeah, we need fieldies. Yeah,
we need fieldies. But you know, if you want to get field experience, put that on your LinkedIn. Like let people know. Like just because I have all this office work doesn't mean that I'm not willing to go out in the field.
Well, and traditionally, there's a lot of value in field geology, and you have to do it to start a project. But over the last decade, the money's made in front of a computer.
Yep.
Doing modeling, 3D modeling, the resource modeling, and then writing reports, writing technical reports.
Yep.
That's where the money's made, and not in the field. And so a lot of people are like, oh, this is what's valuable. But the thing is with that is like there's going to be a shift to where a lot of that's going to be automated and more automated and less human
Those are
involvement.
easy things to replicate.
One good geo who's great with resource modeling and writing technical reports can do 2 or 3 times as much as they could previously because of all the leverage with all the tools and machine learning. But on the flip side, like geos, it's going to be a really long time until robotics get to a point where they're sophisticated enough to go out in the field and map a fault and take measurements or collect samples and stuff.
Yeah, no, field geos are going to be highly valuable.
They'll get there eventually, but that could be 20 years away or more.
Yeah, it's kind of been interesting because we've been talking to some really big firms over the last few years, just like talking about partnerships of like how we can work together and kind of, you know, fill the need of the mining industry. And every time they come to us, they only want field people. They want field engineers. They want field geologists.
They want to do the high margin, low risk computer work.
Yep.
And then they want us to do the field.
Outsource everything
else. The field has traditionally been cheap and the computer part's been expensive, but I see that crossing and doing a flip-flop.
Yeah.
To where the field work's going to be the expensive because people who can do that and are willing to go out and get their hands dirty and brave the elements and work in adverse conditions and drive a side-by-side safely and hike over rough terrain and deadfall and try to find rock outcrops in the middle of the jungle is going to get very rare. And then on the computer side, it's just going to be flooded. So there's some interesting convergences there, but there's definitely, with the wave of retirees, we need more graduates, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting statistic that we found was in 2023, there was only 162 mining engineers graduating in the U.S.
Yep.
That's a very small number.
Yeah. Yeah, we could fit them all in our office. We could have a social.
It'd be very crowded, but yeah, we could.
Not super crowded. I mean, we could fit them all in our office and have a social. Every graduate in mining engineering that year.
No, I mean,
you could, like, as a company like ours, we could send a personal note to every graduate in a mining program every year, and it wouldn't cost that much.
Same with Canada, 171 mining grads.
Yeah.
Australia, 87.
Yeah.
A collapse from 330 grads to 87. I'm not sure what the year is on this.
Those are trailing, and I've heard that it's even more dire in 2024.
Oh, man.
And 2025, obviously, we won't have numbers.
And then if we compare that to China, we have 45 plus specialized mining universities.
Yep.
I don't even think
compared to 12 in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't even think if we were to include Australia and Canada, I don't think we'd hit 45.
Yep. And some of these, like we have like 12 in the United States, and some of them only graduate a handful of students a year.
Right.
So they're pretty small programs.
They're graduating 3,000 mining engineers annually, 10,000 geoscientist graduates.
Yep.
We might have to start learning Chinese just so we can hire these people.
Hey, I'll take care of that. I've got meta glasses that speak German, French, and Spanish.
Yeah,
they'll know Chinese
wild.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, so
the advantage in learning another language now, I don't think, is actually being able to speak the other language. It's in reframing the way your brain thinks. Because if you can think in different languages, it adds entirely new dimensions to the way you think and process information. That's the value in learning a new language. I think AI translation devices are going to get so seamless and slick and easy to use that the language barriers are just going to dissolve.
So then it'll be more of a cultural barrier, because that's always an interesting thing, because people are just different from all over.
Oh, I mean, the Chinese, like, I think it seems like a lot of the time on this show and in mining and stuff, we disparage China and Chinese culture because in a lot of ways they play the long game and they're so advanced. And in the West, we tend to think quarterly.
Oh, yeah. Quarterly and election cycles.
And election cycles. We don't think the long game. And so a lot of that is like, we're way behind and we're in trouble and they're going to take over the world and they're getting ahead in AI and they're getting ahead in technology and mining and different things. But the reality is, like, the Chinese culture is very collectively oriented and also very long-term thinking. Like they're good at delaying gratification and playing the long game, which are admirable traits that I think the West could use a lot more of.
We could.
Especially in terms of like, we're focused on like next quarter, next election cycle, the next microaggression we're going to experience somewhere.
You know, oftentimes the West is very much individually focused.
Well, that's why I said China's collectively
minded,
yeah.
Where we don't have that one, and we're so divided, especially now, and you know, red team, blue team. It's just insane. It's like we're all on the same path. We're all in the same country. Like we need some type of alignment here.
Well, and if you realize all the backdoor crossover, it's like
it's all just a facade anyway.
Blur,
yeah. I like this quote in here that you have. It says, China considers mining talent a national security asset. The West treats it like an optional major.
Yep.
Which is very true.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's so wild to have like one of the largest pits in the world in our backyard, and people in the city of Salt Lake and surrounding communities still don't even realize it's there.
Yep.
Or what do?
Yep.
Right? They think Rio Tinto, oh yeah, they got a soccer stadium, right? Had a soccer stadium. Yeah. It's like, no, wow. Yeah. That's bad.
Yep.
And it's not the community's fault. I put that squarely on the mining industry for not telling the story. And that's something that is going to be an ongoing theme here, is like we have to start telling the story of mining and the why and how and all of the fun stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, and it's shifting. And it's like I talked about last week in my mining outlook for the US. The tech bros who control a large swath of media and public sentiment are starting to shift the narrative to pro-nuclear, pro-strong energy policy, pro-mining and critical minerals and things like that. And so that's actually shifting the narrative faster than the mining industry ever could.
Right.
But we should ride that wave.
Absolutely, we
and
should.
work more closely with Microsoft, Tesla, Amazon, Oracle, OpenAI. Like, how do we help you secure the raw materials and the finished goods that you need to build out your data centers?
I mean, it wasn't too many years ago where car manufacturers were looking at partnering with mines to pre-buy ore reserves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, forward buy.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's huge opportunity there
and
for
that
mining.
went away. I mean, they did that more as a hedge than reality. But the tricky thing with that was in lithium in particular and cobalt.
Yeah.
Is there are such large supplies in South America and elsewhere that they can just turn on to drown out the competition. But once demand reaches a certain level, new mines will need to come online.
Right, which means let's get that permitting process actually moving.
So we shifted into data centers. Let's talk about data centers in space.
Yeah, this is a new thing for me. So I know nothing about this. I've been honestly trying not to read the news too much. It's getting a little too... I've been focusing on bird jacks, let's just be honest.
Good.
So tell me, what the hell is that?
Yeah, you're the CEO. You should be focused on that. My job as the chairman is to be up on the mast of the ship and in the crow's nest and looking out at what's coming ahead. So I'm looking further ahead. You're focused, like we just talked about, the Western mindset. You're focused on quarterly performance, annual performance. I'm looking at what's 5-10 years out.
Some days I'm just looking at what's for dinner today.
So we're looking at a situation where, first off, land for data centers that's by key fiber infrastructure is selling at premiums, all-time highs. We're talking millions of dollars an acre.
Ooh.
And these aren't small data centers where you need 2 or 3 acres. These are
no.
These are 100-acre sites, some of them.
Yeah.
And they're spending millions of dollars an acre. One site just sold for a record like $600 million a few months ago, and is literally next to a rock quarry.
Yeah, it's probably garbage land.
They could go rebuy all that rock and refill in the quarry and sell the land for more than the quarry value. I mean, it's insane. But so there's that. There's acute power issues developing in different parts of the country.
Oh yeah, I've seen articles about
And
that. Communities are mad about this.
Yeah, because power prices are rising, and it's a combination of green energy policies and data center demand. And let's not forget all the electrification of everything. all these cars plugging into the grid all the time to charge up is increasing demand and will continue to increase.
Oh, yeah.
So the solution that is making a lot of headlines lately is let's put data centers in space.
That is an interesting thought.
So I've given it some thought, and I have some interesting thoughts around it for the mining industry. But first, let's talk about pros and cons.
Okay.
Pros: cooling. The vacuum of space is very cold. So all these data centers, a huge component, like 2/3 of the weight of a data center is all the cooling apparatus.
Yeah, which is interesting because they're putting them in places like Phoenix, which
Yes.
is hot. I mean, Phoenix gets up to like 115 degrees in the summer.
Yep.
And even hotter with like, you know, building and reflection, all that fun stuff.
Yep. So in space, you can build these huge, basically, and I'm going to use basic, simple terms here, so everyone can understand, including myself. So it's basically cooling that's based on just radiant cooling. So, you know, there's radiant heating. There's obviously the inverse. There's a word for it. I can't remember the word. But basically, you build these giant arrays, and you can pump through coolant into the data center, and then it goes out into the vacuum of space and cools down. And then you just circulate it back through.
Interesting.
Because the vacuum of space is really cold. But cooling with fans and convection and things like that don't work in the vacuum of space. So your cooling is all limited to what I would call passive cooling. So you have to build these huge arrays of cooling. So that's a pro and a con. I kind of got into the con category. But the pro is abundant cold in the vacuum of space.
That's the high level thought, yes.
But the advantage, one of the major advantages is, first off, solar panels on terrestrial solar panels on the planet. All those solar rays have to pass through the atmosphere.
Yep.
And that can be just the regular atmosphere. It can be clouds and smog and pollution and whatever else. And all that limits the effectiveness. So if you take those solar panels and you put them in space, they're immediately like 40+% more effective.
Wow.
Then if you put them in a, once again, there's a technical term for this, and I'm just gonna probably botch it and use my own words here. But if you put them in a geostationary...
Don't worry, the LinkedIn people will correct you.
I know, they will. We'll put it in a geostationary orbit where it's always facing the sun.
Okay.
Like a solar orbit where the panels are always facing the sun as they go around the Earth. They get solar energy 24/7.
Right.
And so there's not 12 hours a day of sun shade. They're always in the sun. So you don't need backup power because they're always in the sun. So the pro is cheap, abundant electricity from these massive solar arrays, cheap, abundant cooling from being able to use the vacuum of space to dissipate heat. Those are the pros. And then the big pro is you don't need space. Like, they don't take up space on the ground. You just stack them all up in space. You can build infinite data centers in
I know.
space.
How much space would they take up in space?
These things would have to be massive. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Cons. Maintenance.
Yeah.
You can't just, hey, Doug, there's a server rack down on aisle 42.
So we're going to need a demand of astronauts.
Yes. So repairs become extremely expensive and difficult. Space is full of radiation. So you need to harden all those components to withstand constant bombardment with space radiation.
Interesting.
And then the biggest con is it's expensive to get these massive arrays into space. They're heavy, they're huge, and with current technology, it's about 10 times more expensive to get payloads into space than it would need to be to make space-based data centers economic.
Space-based data centers.
Space-based data centers.
That's a tongue twister.
Space-based data centers. Yeah, had I not had my caffeine this morning, I would be able to say
Space-based data
that. So the price per kilogram is like, and once again, broad numbers, it's going to be like $1,000 a kilogram to get a payload into space, and it needs to get down to like 100.
Ooh-wee.
But that'll happen. So SpaceX,
When there's a will, there's a way.
SpaceX, reusable rockets, they can get payloads up.
I mean, they've changed the whole getting things into space game.
But they need competitors who are competent, and they need several.
Not Origin.
Blue Origin and others would be good competitors, but they need to be competent and operating at the same level as SpaceX, Boeing, Blue Origin, others. They need to catch up so that they can drive prices down. They can be more efficient. They can drive prices down. They need more competitors. But once they get there, they can do it. But these aren't the rockets that launched the Starlink satellites.
Right.
These are their biggest rockets that would put data centers into space.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how big that would look like.
For our audience and the mining angle, these space-based data centers, and this is my own kind of analysis. I haven't read this anywhere yet, so I kind of get to get it out there first. But they're going to use just as much copper as the ground-based ones.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to use way more silver.
Yeah.
We're already in this crazy physical silver squeeze. Silver was up 4% yesterday.
Goodness.
Silver demand for these giant solar arrays is going to go insane. So if we start moving space data centers from terrestrial to space, they're going to require way more silver, just as much copper, just as much of the other elements. The only downside would be like construction materials. They wouldn't need nearly as many construction materials other than to build launch pads and rocket facilities and things like that.
Oh, construction materials isn't going away.
So there's a bit of an offset there. But I think it's interesting. So let's
is
talk a little bit about Christmas.
Interesting. I mean, how feasible is it though? Like
What?
to get these space-based data centers into space?
Completely feasible, but it's not economical right now.
It's not economical right now.
Yeah.
Do you think this is like...
So we need to solve the maintenance issue.
Right.
We need server racks that are hardened against space, that can last 5 to 10 years of continuous work without maintenance, that can cool themselves without any fans, active cooling systems, we'll call them. And then we need the rocket companies to get more competitive, cut costs. It's also going to involve some regulatory changes so that they can be more efficient. And then that's the big thing. But you solve those issues, it's completely technically feasible.
That's wild. That is...
I mean, we have people who live in space.
I mean, we do. And there's going to be... I mean, with this, we'd have to have a lot more people who live in space. There'd be space communities, maybe. You never know.
I mean, yeah. I guess for maintenance and stuff,
would be
interesting. I mean, I'd assume for maintenance, they would literally just shoot up like bolt-on fixes. Like it would be modular. So there's a failure in this server array in this space data center, and they would literally like leave it all in place and then just send up a new one to bolt on. Or just let parts of it fail over time, and then they'd just send up a new space center. And then talking to Gunther, who's been a great guest on this show, and somebody I talked about this kind of stuff in the office the other day, he said, what about space wars? Like China's like, oops, we accidentally sent a rocket up that ran into this massive Amazon
totally feasible.
Center.
Totally feasible.
Yeah, and vice versa, you know, lasers and, I mean, it's easy. It would be easy to wreck a space center with space junk or other things like that, a data center.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different hazards that you'd have to think about.
Yep.
Ooh, that's wild. That is wild. The future is interesting. There's a lot going on.
There's, yeah.
There's
it's
a lot
exciting.
going on.
I mean, it's all very exciting if you're in the metal space and minerals.
Well, I mean, it's just part of life, right? Like there's always huge technology changes and just advancements, and it's just like, it's hard to comprehend sometimes because
well, we've lived through the .com era, the personal computer era, the smartphone era. We're living actively through the AI era, and as part of that, we're going to see this huge demand. Like, we've talked about this yesterday. You've noticed using LLMs, Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok, things like that, they're having more errors. They're slowing down.
They're kind of getting to where they were a couple years ago when they first
Yeah.
launched. Like, they're kind of reverting back because
Yeah.
it's like they're being overused in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, they can't supply it. I don't.
Yeah, and OpenAI is sucking down billions of dollars in capex to stay going, and they still have no plan to generate revenue.
I don't understand that world.
That's a conversation for a different day.
That's a conversation for a different day, because I am reading an interesting book about a startup guy who bridges that gap between actual services and software. But going back, so we're talking about futuristic things. Let's take a step back into time, where we have a fun little Christmas story about some like actual hard commodities that people have much appreciated in hard times and cold winters.
Yeah, so when coal was the gift you wanted. Everybody knows the joke, be naughty, get a lump of coal. I'm going to read a lot of this because I think it lends itself well to reading. But here's the twist. There was a time when coal in December wasn't an insult, it was relief. If your home is heated by coal, coal isn't a gag gift. Coal is warm bedrooms, coal is soup. Coal is waking up and still having feeling in your fingers. So for a lot of families in the 1800s and early 1900s, coal is basically stored sunshine. The difference between making it through the winter comfortably or barely making it at all. In 1905, in Concord, New Hampshire, the staff at a large household decided, instead of exchanging gifts with each other, they're going to pool their money and give their neighbors coal. They literally wrote to families asking if coal would be acceptable as a Christmas greeting, because it was the most useful thing they could think of going into a hard New England winter. And when the thank you notes came back, one line just hits. I don't know of anything I need at present more than fuel. That's not someone tolerating a weird present. That's someone saying you gave us comfort, safety, and dignity. So how did coal go from thank you, this keeps my kids warm, to you're on the naughty list? Part of it is folklore. Different traditions in Europe feature characters who reward good behavior and punish bad behavior. It's a pretty good parenting trick.
It's funny how you see that globally.
Yeah, it's actually interesting how that works. But anyway, coal became one of the symbolic punishments in some of these stories. And part of modern life, as fuel became more available and less visibly precious, a lump of coal stopped reading as useful and started reading as you get nothing nice. Sad, right? And then bringing it back to mining, coal isn't just a rock, it was stored labor. Someone had to dig it out, haul it, sell it, and deliver it. That lump of coal represented the invisible work that kept entire communities warm. And back in the 1800s and early 1900s, that coal in some areas was literally picked out by hand, drilled out by hand, loaded with shovels into ore cars, brought out of the mine. And it may go through 2 or 3 different hands by the time it gets to your front door or more.
Oh, yeah.
So, coal can be a joke, but historically, coal was sometimes the most meaningful Christmas gift you could give. The gift of a livable winter. I always thought coal was cool. I got a lump one year. My grandpa, I mean, we don't have to go back that far. My grandpa and grandma Burgess had a fireplace in their front living room that burned coal. And they used it a lot.
I bet.
So I remember going to their house in the winter and smelling coal burning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, say I grew up with a wood burning stove.
Yeah.
So like I was thinking about this story. I was like, oh, that's actually quite applicable, because I remember my parents telling me that some winters they'd wake up and inside the house would be 50 below. Inside the house, inside the cabin.
Dang, 50 below.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
And so I think like if somebody were to give them a gift of firewood, like a cord of firewood, like that would be, you know, much appreciated in those types of cold environments.
Yeah, absolutely. 50 below. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's dangerous.
Yep.
That's not just a comfort issue. That's dangerous when it gets that cold.
Yeah, well, Alaskans are a different breed.
We got Skaboosh. This might be a 2-cat episode.
Well,
He heard the holiday stories. Come here. Come here.
Skaboosh doesn't want cold, but he wants treats.
Yeah, he wants treats. You can't just make noise. Come on. You can't just meow. You either come over here.
Oh.
Oh, Blue wants this to be his solo. Oh, he's offended.
He's offended. Okay.
He's offended. All right.
A little bit of cat drama.
No 2 cats today, just 1 cat. But anyway, it's kind of a cute little reminder that coal has been useful. It's been critical for centuries. And when I go for walks around the neighborhood on cold winter nights, I still smell coal here and there. Still some people burn it.
Some coal, some firewood.
Yeah.
No, it's something that we do have to appreciate.
Yep. And with that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. But we will have one more episode before the new year if you catch it. If not, watch it next year and catch up.
We'll still be here.
And we'll still be here. Keep on chugging away into 2026. And if you want to learn a little bit more about what we're expecting to come around the corner, our last episode, episode 45, was about my macro outlook for mining in the United States in 2026. Well worth a watch if you haven't seen it yet.
Definitely.
Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. We appreciate the comments. And sometimes they spur follow-ups like they did with the China labor issue and what's going on with talent.
Yep.
See you next time.